Okay. Hello, everyone. Relax. You are an advanced being. What I wanted to speak about was simply this view arose to me that right now on this planet, if we had a standard, it's as if there's people below the standard and there's people above the standard. It's another way of saying there are people right now who can carry the weight of life, and there are those who can't carry the weight of life. For those people who can't, you know, I personally felt this. There's going to come moments where, you know, a person's going to be left with their self. The access to other avenues of expression, you know, may seem closed. And so for those people freaking out right now on Earth for any reason, you need to relax because you're an advanced being. Actually, it can be proven that you're the most advanced being on Earth for now. Our species is a golden species, is a glowing species. We are glowing with the ability to be conscious of our surroundings in sophisticated ways. Ultimately, it goes towards this idea, do you love the future? You might be someone who you have found some things that you love from the past. I personally do. There are things about the past, even before I was born, that I love. There are things in the present that I care about, and there's few things that I love also. But when it comes to the future, I might be that human being who has fallen in love with the potential of our species, who has this interest, this romanticization, I don't know, this romanticism for how great and mighty the human species will be. And you are the member of the human species right now. You know, I've had moments where the inner realms have overloaded. That means there were too many ideas. There was a time there was so many ideas flowing through my head, through my mind, through the lens of my mind, the spotlight of my attention, that at some point I just had to put my hand on my forehead and stop the projections a little. It could be that we might not understand consciousness for the next 1,000 years, simply because it's an advanced technology of how light can be aware, how light can be conscious. So imagine how far ahead is that moment where human beings can create, can in some sense use light to become conscious. That means instead of sending a drone to go check out a part of the cosmos, we send a light beam. Pretty much the ability of light to know. Really, your life, its possibility of movement, is limited to your vision. If you think you're in a room with too much stuff that you can't move in it, it's as if, have you made the world against you, or have you made the forces of reality an ally? I ran after this idea. There was a time where I felt there were forces, not even physical, just, some things that I was unauthorized for. But then, as you continue, you suddenly find the ability, you suddenly get the authorization. You suddenly can do something that you couldn't. Do you know? So in life, the thing about how, like, you need to, whoever you are, if you're freaking out, if life is too stressful or too many, it's too intense, you need to relax and you need to find a stable point. And the idea is, in utter chaos, plant a flag. In chaos, plant a flag. So what does that mean? That means, I'll give you an example. I lived like a hermit for like a decade. And so what I was left with at the end of that decade was just like a bunch of lectures, limited financial ability, very limited financial ability, and then even the health deteriorated. And I reached this point where I was like, man, I'm living for something bigger than me. I'm living for something that will outlast me, that might, like, I might die, but these talks will continue. It's like Amin Jabbar Ansari will die, but Mr. Within will continue in cyberspace, right? So I reached the sort of mentality where I'm like, WTF, what have I done? Reached a point where I was like, man, what is this? Did I make a mistake? Have I gotten myself in some sort of, quicksand? Honestly, it felt like I stepped into a time machine and then came out and was like, yo, what's happened? But what I'm trying to tell you is that I had to plant a flag again. So imagine you planted a flag somewhere, wrong place, it wasn't the right thing to do. Not that it wasn't the right thing, it wasn't enough. And so when chaos comes, so when you put an attempt at an organized, ordered effort or attempt, and this sort of organization turns into chaos, then you need to plant the new flag. So the new flag was, in some sense, I'll give you an example. When I was speaking about just purely metaphysics, trying to unravel, let's say, the secret of consciousness, I felt I was getting close to it, by the way. But at some point, I realized that it's not my place. There are some secrets that it is not for us to tell. I think I have been very blessed to be able to speak this much. But then I realized at some point, not at some point, I realized, okay, so when I talk about the truth of consciousness, there is in some sense I don't want to say karma. I don't believe in karma anymore, in the yogic sense. But I would say it was as if there was something that wasn't making sense out of my mindset of going forward with a certain approach. And the new flag I planted was that, okay, if I am not placed into this realm, or if I am not pure enough as a being to speak about, the truth of truths, then I will speak about, the human future. That's what I decided. And since I've decided that, things have kind of turned around. It's like the flag's been planted on the idea of the advanced civilization rather than the idea of the truth of the cosmos. You know why? Because the truth of human life is not human. It surpasses human. That means you right now might be an entity, an organism that is under the impression that everything that makes sense to you is making sense to the human. You might think that what you see is it, right? But it's like a little part of the electromagnetic spectrum. It's that our world is way bigger than our ability to be in it. So anyways, I'm trying to give you an example. I planted a new flag. The previous flag was just trying to unravel the truth of consciousness. Then it was like, okay, it's not the time for that. All right, we plant the flag on the advanced civilization. Do you know? So that's what I've kind of dedicated my life to. When I'm asking you guys, the viewers or anybody who listens to this, these talks, like I'm pretty much, how would I say this? I pretty much I love the future, but I love what it can be, which is bizarre. It's kind of like being with someone that you love who they can be, not who they are, right? And there was a time where I was like, to be honest, I don't love this world, this present world. I am fascinated by it. There's moments of reverence. There's moments where I love the source of this world. But when I look at this world, it's incomplete. It's like like looking at Earth, Civilization 1.0, which is current Earth, I call it, right? It's like an undeveloped, it's like an incomplete human. Okay? It's like human beings are living in a civilization that is semi-human. It's not fully human. It's like we don't have, let me tell you why we're semi-human, right? If you ask what is the greatest value, right? It's not going to be a human. Do you see what I'm saying? That means people rather have money, than in some sense, I'm trying to give you I'm trying to tell you that our species is lacking the honor for the greatness of its future, and that necessary honor, like that honor is necessary to usher us forth into the next phase of human life. The next phase of human life is going to be a bit weird. It's like right now, the biological human, you're like a solid entity. Okay, you haven't had memories of being other than solid. Okay, I think most people are like this. The conscious memories of this lifetime, you're a shaped entity. Like our skin is squishy, but like we are a shaped entity. There's a form, right? So one thing we can tell about intelligence in general, that it's dealing with form and how forms change. Consciousness has to do with change. Change has to do with the shift in energy, right? Shift in perspective, which can also shift your energy. So plant a new flag. Plant a new flag of order in your chaos. There will be moments, guys. I don't know. I, as a human being, experience this. I'm feeling others will experience this. You know, there will come moments where you will want to give up on your effort on just maintaining life. Okay? When that moment comes, you need to stare at the chaos. You know, some people say when the order is shaking, like reorganize the order, right? But my attitude, my approach is different. You know, because when I was thinking about the construction, the design of the most advanced civilization, right, for humanity, I was envisioning in some sense, man, this is going to be a civilization for good and evil beings. It's going to be advanced for both of them. My argument, my strategy, this is Mr. Within strategy. I was like, all right, there's good people, there's evil people, they're fighting till the end of time. Let's tell these two forces to pause. Hey, all the good people on the planet. Hey, all the evil people on the planet. Stop fighting. Build an advanced civilization, then do whatever the F you want. Do you know? Because we don't realize it in the battles that human beings fight, the lives of others are influenced, right? It's pretty much, it's hilarious. It's like people are fighting, nations are fighting. If there were even aliens, we'd probably be fighting with them too. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if aliens land down on Earth, you know, and a bunch of like, you know, and a bunch of like, you know, thugs kind of come up to the aliens and they're like, yo man, get out of these streets belong to us. Do you know what I mean? Like we fight novelty because we don't understand the sudden shift of change. Do you know? The sudden shift of information. Whoever you are, you need to find moments where you can stare at yourself outside of yourself. I call this ego vision in these lectures. What does that mean? that means that means right now my eyes, my consciousness is starting from my eyes. This is the view of the eagle on the branch. Okay? That means first person perspective, you're an eagle on a branch. Third person perspective, you're an eagle looking at the forest. Do you understand? Just like RPG video games, like third person video games, right? Similarly, I'm saying if the human being had that sort of awareness of itself, it wouldn't give up on itself easily. Like human beings are weird. When it comes to others, because we don't have their eyes, it's so easy for us to be hopeful for them. You know? So it all comes to this idea. Oh my God, hold on, guys. So you relax and then you recalculate. You calculate everything. Our species is being made is the future generations are being made emotional because emotional people are reactive entities. Do you know what that means? That means they want the not they. I mean, there's no enemy. It's all us. It's all good and evil human beings trying to like live. Oh Jesus. Sorry about that, guy. Sorry about that, guy. Okay. All right, guys, let's continue. You relax, and then you start from the context of your world, calculating up to the concept. What does that mean? That means, imagine I freak out right now. I've had so many existential panic attacks that I kind of know the protocol. Like, I have my own protocol for it. So the idea is, you freak out, nothing makes sense, forces of life out over are overwhelming you. You have to start. You have to take the moment back to a position where it still makes sense. That means reverse engineer through your mind back to the self where it still had possibility. So, for example, let's say I reach a point and I'm like, I don't know what else to do, you know? So I would start. I'm like, okay, where am I? Okay, I'm in a cosmos. All right, we start from macro, we build to micro. So where am I? I'm in the cosmos, this massive existence where we can't see its edge. Okay, then I'm like, where am I again? Right? Okay, I am in the Milky Way galaxy. There's many countless galaxies. Okay, so I'm a entity in the cosmos and the whole cosmic expanse vastness, and I'm also an entity part of the Milky Way galactic sector. Right, and then next thing, okay, I'm an entity, I'm a being on Earth, on this planet called Earth. Okay, then, okay, so the context is kind of like readjusting the concept, right? Just like a blacksmith hitting his sword with a hammer to straighten it, we're trying to straighten our life by, in some sense, constantly readjusting the context, right? Like bringing our attention to the whole totality of it. Okay, so then the person's like, okay, I'm a human being on Earth, okay, on this planet. Then with the next things, like, what has happened on Earth? Okay, the person's like, all right, 4.5 billion years of evolution, something like that. Sudden, this mysterious emergence of consciousness, right? Creatures have developed language, have developed technology, have developed sophistication, but pretty much you realize you're a 4.5 billion year old evolutionary part of a planet inside such a vastness, right? So the next thing is, the person's like, all right, man, so I'm in a world this huge. At the same time, I'm a 4.5 billion year old evolutionary opportunity. Okay. So far, it's like an advantage to even exist in this massive event, massive place, right? Then the next thing, you're like, okay, as a human being, I'm also like part of a nation. Okay, I'm part of a nation. Then you're like, okay, I'm part of a town in this nation. And then you're like, okay, I live in a house in this town, in this nation, on this planet, in this galaxy, in this cosmos, right? And so, as you kind of get the context, you begin to realize there is so much space. There is so much space to be a human that has never existed before. There is so much space to, in some sense, be innovators, to be pioneers, right? This is why I'm saying sometimes even when you plant your flag, it's like it's a new idea. There was something, I remember the first sentence I wrote for myself that I knew I was a writer, and I taped it on the wall, was that I don't want to live in a world that looks the same the next day. We have gotten used to making the present feel correct by abiding by the past. Nobody knows what the correct thing is. How could they? It's the past they're using. It's like the brain is using past patterns to kind of consider new patterns to be okay, you know? So it's like this brain, when you think of your past, like I'm 32 years old, so when I think of my past, there's a lot of meaning. But if I come to something in the present, imagine an alien lands on Earth and it looks like nothing I've ever seen. then the brain has to use the previous patterns to establish a new meaningful pattern, right? So it's like meaningful past patterns, a meaningless moment in the present, right? So we're using past meaning to, in some sense, give the present new meaning, but that meaning can never be new because the future is always awaiting us. It's ahead, okay? What I'm trying to say is that you are actually, like, you are a human being, you're one being, but you have two functions. Just like you have two eyes that see the same, you can close your right eye, look with your left eye, you can close your left eye, look with your right eye. Similarly, you as a human being have an ability to be a subject in your inner realms. You can legit close both your eyes and move as a subject behind your mind. You can do this, right? And if you might think you're a person, yo man, Mr. Within, I don't have an imagination, I'm not creative. That's bullshit. That doesn't even make sense. You're an antenna. You're imagining all the new decisions, all the new actions you're making. So the creativity has to happen. Everybody is creative. Everybody has an imagination if they're doing anything that's new that they haven't done yesterday. Do you know? Even if it's like sitting in the same car seat in a different way. Do you know what I mean? Like, you gotta love the future or it doesn't make sense being alive. I don't understand it, you know? And when I say love the future, when you love someone, what happens? You care for their vitality and greatness. That's all I'm saying. I'm just this guy in human history who's like, yo, we don't have an advanced civilization yet. The advanced humanity hasn't woken up yet. It's like we're in a civilization that's a sleeping giant, and the giant is like, yo, man, I don't care where I'm sleeping. I'm gonna sleep in this like shitty bed, you know, in this terrible, excuse my language, in this like terrible like break your back bed, do you know? Like imagine the person's sleeping on that, and at the same time, there's a force that's like, yo, man, why are you sleep? Or imagine the person sleeping on like a rock on the ground, right? And you're like, why are you sleeping on a rock? Go sleep on a bed, right? So it's the same thing with human civilization, right? The current humanity is like a giant that's sleeping on an uncomfortable rock, but because it's asleep, it doesn't care to update it. You have to awaken humanity to its accurate position. Its accurate position is weird. It's weird. It's like, yo, man, what did Mr. Within say at the end of his talk? He said we're all fucking weird. The advancement of civilization. It's such a beautiful idea. When I talk about the advanced civilization, I feel like I'm standing in like the best sunlight. You know, that's how you're gonna feel. An advanced civilization is, it's like the closer you get to it, the more honor you feel for everything. Because we gotta take care of all of it, right? Human beings are like Jordan Peterson was like, yo, clean your room, you stupid kid. You know, like it but little did, you know, people never said clean the world. All right, guys, hold on, I gotta answer this. Okay. You know, the human being has a blessing. Our blessing is this, that we are something, but we can also become something. Lao Tzu has something in the lines of, he says, you must let go of who you are now to become who you're meant to. We can have this view that, you know, what happens to us in life is inaccurate, or we can have this view that it's all accurate. That sometimes it's really what we deserve, you know? And you know, someone may go as far as to say the purpose of this world is for beings to accept their limitlessness and to accept their limitations. But you must accept your limitations to become limitless. There's something that surpasses the urges of the human, right? It's as if I can think of all the things that can individually happen for me, but then when I think of all the things that can happen to the species, it's honestly, weirdly, like binary at this point. It's like extinction, non-extinction. And so there's 8 billion human beings. That means what kind of an advanced being do you have to be able to care for a whole species, to love the future of your species, not to just love your own future, which can be alone on a mountain peak, right? To love the future of your species. It's the great walk of 8 billion human beings in the void. We are not, it's like this is what they didn't tell me at school. They had history class. They didn't tell me, yo, you by existing right now are making history. You by being a statistic in the world are making history. And it's such a fascinating idea, because where the attention of 8 billion human being goes to suggests their future. If we love, like, think of it this way, it's like you have an individual person. They're like, yo, man, become a complete person. The person's like, how? And they're like, you gotta love everything. And they're like, how? And it's like, okay, love your past. It's like the person's like, I got a fucked up past, though. Doesn't matter. Love that you continued, that you got here. Then present. Love everything that you have access to now. And then love everything that can become from your knowledge of the past and your decision in the present. All I'm saying is, human beings have not forgot about the greatness of their self, of the individual. But we should not forget about the greatness of the collective. Think about it. Think about being in an advanced civilization filled with 8 billion advanced beings. No mistakes. The moment you make a mistake, all the other advanced beings have created are like your backup plan, right? The species will reach a point where it can rely on itself. Right now, it cannot rely on itself. You know, right now, like, you know, for me, I have this kind of wish in my heart where I want all human beings to be ushered into the next great phase of humanity, right? That means it's like if we're still fighting over how we look, it's like undeveloped. We must surpass form. And now human activity has access to something that is beyond form, which is like an awareness to the forms that we can select. Love the advancement of everything. That means when you can want all the evil and good people, all the beings in your world to advance, you're living in an advanced world because the intent is advanced. So relax, realize that we are, on some level, the most advanced species. Our species is smarter than all the other species. We're a smart species. And as our universal ethics and morality is getting polished and solidified, it's like, some human beings are waiting for greatness, and there is a greatness that is waiting for humanity. It's like on the other side of the human future. It's like we're here trying to see what an advanced civilization looks like. And imagine on the other side, there's advanced beings trying to fathom what an unadvanced civilization looks like. How hilarious is that? And we meet in the middle ground. No way. You guys don't want to be advanced? Well, let's switch places. Anyways, whoever you are, if you go in a effed up situation where you don't know what to do, relax. First, remember, relax. That means stop inefficient activity. Consider that you are advanced, and there is no reason for like, think of it this way. Right now, if I was to cook an omelet, there's more advanced people on the planet who can create an omelet way more advanced than me, for example. Right? So similarly, in this moment of my life, whoever you are, whatever position, situation in life you are, you got to think of it this way, that a more advanced person in my situation would be able to handle this situation. And based on that inspiration, you will realize you also belong to the same advanced species. All the greatest human beings in history that have ever lived, they have been a member of your species. You are a member of your species. The greatness of humanity belongs to all of us, but we're late bloomers as a species. So it's going to take us a while to realize it. That we've all, like, even though human beings have been living for themselves selfishly, consciousness does not have boundaries of the body. That means we're being forced. That means think of it this way, the soul is the size of the totality of existence. So your soul is the size of the cosmos. Imagine, hypothetical. Imagine, right? So something has to keep it. Think of it this way. The soul is air, and right now the air is inside a balloon. And the air inside the balloon is conscious of, in a way that it's not aware that the same air that's inside the balloon is outside the balloon. So it could be that we are not a soul inside a body. We are a body in our soul. We are an embodied aspect of a presence that is universal beyond. Help Mr.Within build Civilization 2.0. You will be helping all of us. Rise, mankind, rise. An advanced civilization is the future's birthright. And an advanced civilization is not devoid of divine authority. It's another way of saying that if you were created by the greatest, you at least behave like it. Do you know? That means it's as if the greatest force, the greatest force in life is watching. It's like the greatest creator is watching the greatness of its creation. You see, an advanced civilization it is not devoid of authority, divine authority. It is way more conscious of it than how we are now. Do you know? That means there will come a time where religions will be treated as heritage, but a heritage that's also active. right? It's like there's buildings from long time ago, and there's ideas from long time ago. But ideas have an advantage that buildings don't have. Ideas can become people. In one of my talks, I said the same. Just like there's people who are looking for ideas, there's also ideas waiting for people. Kind of like poetically, if this was an anime, it would be like the spirit of the realm. Like imagine, right, the spirit of athleticism like chose Lionel Messi. Like, it's an example. I'm just saying, you know, for me, it's all under one authority. There's one administrator in this world, one original force, and there is lots of moderators, and then there's like endless members. So the kind of attitude should be that, do you want transcendental law to be in accordance to your a transcendental moderator, or the original administrator? So the advanced civilization, if it is to be the advance, it must be advanced in all domains. In all domains. So next time odds are against you, don't forget you're part of an advanced species. You have options. Sometimes you need to slow things down, stop and relocate, or stop and relocate, slow things down and relocate, you know. Ultimately, there's many angles to life, and many of these angles we're not aware of. There could be a way that like people are seeing me now that I have never seen myself like that. You know what I'm saying? There's many angles to life. We just have to find those angles, because if you follow the advancement principle, the advancement factor is something of my own design. It's the idea that there's always someone more advanced on Earth who can do what we're doing in a more advanced way, for example. That means it's fathomable that an advanced being would be living our life in a more advanced way. So when we ask why are we not living in an advanced way, we see it's the decision of what kind of context we hold our own might in, right? Seldom is this said, but the greatness of life belongs to all life. Thank you.